So I decided to play the Anthem Early Access, which is a funny story in it of itself. Currently, there are 3 ways to get Anthem. Or you could look at the EA business-approved release chart for Anthem. Ignore this chart. This chart is so fucking
absolutely disgusting.
I did the math. As a heads up, I am living in the Philippines, so the prices that are reflected here are Singaporean dollars. So you could get the standard edition for 69 Singaporean dollars, or the Legion of Dawn edition for 109 Singaporean dollars. Basically, it's just rounded off. It's 70 and 110. Let's not kid around. How much is that in Philippine pesos?
Hell no, to the no, no, no.
Or I could pay 20 Singaporean dollars for 1 month of EA Premier Access, which gets me the Legion of Dawn stuff anyway, for free. Not only that, I could play the game earlier than the people that actually bought the Premium Edition for that exorbitant amount of money. So you're telling me I could just pay 20 Singaporean dollars for a month, then fuck off this game forever? What is my initial impression? The story isn't its strongest point. No, not really. They were really hyping up the story of the game for some reason. Story in a looter shooter is like story in a porn. It doesn't really matter. It's not the main focus. But they put it as a selling point.
Like, how is a studio known for story and character going to apply these things to a co-op game?
So fuck those guys.
We still wanted to tell a Bioware quality story.
Sentinel, good to see you again.
Is it?
Isn't it?
I don't associate much with freelancers.
Okay.
Or anyone not a Sentinel, really.
Well, I hope you don't regret getting to know one of us.
Yes, me too.
Okay.
Back within the safety of Fort Tarsus is where my story begins. This is your chance to develop a richly personal narrative where your choices have consequences.
This is such bullshit. Like this, for instance.
Aren't you teamed up with that Cypher, Owen?
Yeah, why?
Yeah, no reason. I just thought you might be concerned about that Cypher school thing of his.
But when you go to your cipher right after that, there is no option to talk about it.
I've got this. You can go be Lancery and I'll cipher like no one has ciphered before.
Maybe it opens up later, but why put it there when you make me think that it's gonna be reactive?
Where your choices have consequences.
Is that guy full of shit? Having your character make decisions in a looter shooter thing in a looter game is misguided to begin with, because that just interrupts the basic flow of a looter shooter, a looter RPG. Objective, kill, loot, repeat. That's what I want. This story shit actually gets in the way of that.
Definitely jerk behavior. I can punch him for you.
No need.
A weekend, you can skip dialogue. That's not the point, son nigga! The point is that the devs thought this would make their game stand out. They thought it was a good idea.
There's also absolutely nothing to stop you crushing on people in the game.
This is unironically good news because romance in Bioware recently is shit.
You're a handful, even sober.
You can handle me, Ryder, whenever you want.
Early on, you get the option to have a voice for your freelancer, a male or female. Also, I can't quite put my finger on it, but the character you're portraying, the character you're put in the shoes of, is kind of... I don't like him.
Ray? Ray, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Shamus Young said it best. During the mission, I found one of the characters to be really irritating. He was an insufferable, smug jackass who scoffed at the idea of showing up for a mission briefing, made fun of one of the other people on the radio, and was generally a self-important jackass. Then I glanced down the subtitles and realized that this dickhead was my character.
I'll see what I can do. That thing is down. No more junk maw.
The way he delivers his lines, there is some sort of vague hint whiff air of smugness.
Arcanists are safe. Only cuts and bruises. Told the Sentinels to pick them up.
See, I've played Destiny, I've played Warframe for a bit. I don't have the problem of the character being annoying because they're quiet. So you combine the unlikable protagonist with inane decision making and the long ass dialogue before you give me a mission makes me want to end my suffering. One of the things that annoyed me is they do the thing where you're supposed to care about what's happening, but you're just really thrust in media res in the middle of events. So you don't really know what's happening, so you don't really get the stakes. Why are we here? And in the mission itself, you're supposed to care about the people that get...
Think about Miller and Adair.
No business these!
No, I don't give a fuck. Oh no, not the person.
Sir?
At least Mass Effect 1 gave me the chance to care about Jenkins, even though there is a likelihood that you don't. Really. What the fuck is this shit?
A Bioware quality story.
So you don't really care about what's happening with the characters on screen, you don't really care about what's happening with the events.
During the failed attempt to silence the Heart of Rage, we lost more than freelancers, more than friends and comrades. We lost the faith of the people we protect. So the freelancers scattered, searching for ways to redeem themselves. The few who remained carried on, finding new allies where they could. Doing their best to help a people who no longer called the freelancers.
And then you're cut to 2 years later. Why don't you start the game from here? Instead of the introduction earlier on that feels tacked on. The whole introduction felt more like exposition than anything else. We should care about these characters because the game told us to. Let's just say you're a fallen freelancer from the get-go, or a new recruit, whatever. I don't care about those guys. Those guys could just appear during the campaign because they were the ones who failed to close the Heart of Rage or whatever. The story has failed to make me care about these characters to begin with, so just having the exposition at the beginning...
These ancient relics harness an unknowable force we call the Anthem of Creation.
Then cutting to this scene...
During the failed attempt to silence the Heart of Rage...
Then we get to this part. We just cut to this part immediately, after all that shit. That just makes for a faster game experience. Just, I'm in the game, I'm controlling my character, I didn't even care about those guys to begin with, let's just go. Meeting these guys during an introduction or later on in the game doesn't really change my opinion of them, which is nothing. If you really want the player to be invested in these characters, you should just let them linger with them longer than just dumping them in the middle of a volcano, which means it's bad because it's red, and then having some other characters dying. It doesn't really work. I think it's a bad sign when the first 20 minutes or so of your game feels unnecessary. I gotta say something about the facial animations. They are a step up from their previous fare.
Sorry, my face is tired from...
But sometimes it looks like they're not looking straight at the player. They're looking somewhere in the side.
Ah, very good work out there with the Arcanists. People want to believe, freelance.
Which is annoying occasionally. But the graphics are very good. I can't say anything bad about it. I still have to say some bad things about the game they're attached to though. You got a huge, beautiful open world in free play. That feels so empty. Then I stumbled onto this thread in Reddit, and it turns out there can only be 4 players during free play. Further Googling shows me that a Reddit thread links to this Twitter account. This is all bad enough, okay? You don't even know where to go when there's a world event, or where it exactly is on the map. You just stumble onto one. Destiny 2 did this right by having an event indicator on the map, with a corresponding timer so you know when to go. Just copy Destiny 2, Bioware! You already copied the no respawn stuff. Just say best practices. It's corporate speak for copying shit. Combat, for the most part, is entertaining. The javelins feel distinct. Like the Colossus, it's fun to run around with the shield up and just running things over. And the Storm really feels like a space wizard. The Ranger feels like the jack of all trades, and I haven't really tried the other mech javelin warframe, the Interceptor, but I'm guessing that's like the rogue, the assassin. I do have a suspicion about the combat in the long run though. The system isn't deep enough for a long-term engagement, and I'll get to that when I review it, like a deeper dive. The bad thing about the combat is all the other shit you have to go through to get there. Like what I said earlier, the dialogue, the story system, the inane bullshit choices, they're all still there. Also, the loading. I got 6 hours in the game and most of it feels like it's loading. Let me walk you through one mission. Is the whole mission 20 minutes? No. First, you gotta talk to the quest giver to get the objective. Then, you walk to your javelin. Then, you go to the map to select the quest. Then, you go to the loading screen. This is the actual loading time before the mission starts. Why aren't I cutting to the part where the game starts? Because you're gonna suffer like me, that's why. I really hate it. Like, normally loading would be a nitpick, but if it happens every time there's a mission instance, it gets annoying. It's like a small booger becomes a big booger the more boogers you put in. Let's talk about Anthem. Anthem has long been hailed as one of Ayn Rand's classic novels and a clear predecessor to her later masterpieces, The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. In Anthem, that girl examines a frightening future in which individuals have no name, no independence, and no values. Equality 7-2521 lives in the dark ages of the future, where all decisions are made by committee. All people live in collectives and all traces of individualism have been wiped out. Despite such a restrictive environment, the spark of individual thought and freedom still burns in him, a passion which has been taught to be sinful. In a purely egalitarian world, that guy dares to stand apart from the herd, to think and choose for himself, to discover electricity, and to love the woman of his choice. Now he has been marked for death for committing the ultimate sin. In the world where the great we reign supreme, he has discovered the lost and holy word, I. Oh, the game finally decided to start. There's even a loading screen while you're in a mission. The fuck? It gets in the way of the fun part, which is killing everything I see. Aside from the insufferable loading, I keep getting disconnected, which I find very odd. Which is weird considering that EA Bioware is supposed to be a AAA game company, right? You're supposed to have thought this through because of the demo, right? Restarting the game is not a solution to this, right? Speaking of EA, there's a small indie game that came out recently. You might not have heard of it. It's called Apex Legends. It's got like what, 25 million subscribers? PewDiePie better watch the fuck out. It's free to play, it looks like fun, and it's entertaining to watch, which I've been doing.
41 broke his shield. You're my hero, Tim. Earthquake summit. We win together. We die together. Let's go, baby!
It's also got a pinging system, which lets players communicate, let them know what's important.
Use the key once to suggest a location. Simply aim at where you want the indicator to be. Your teammates will also be able to see your pings.
And it's a step-up Anthem, which has fucking nothing except voice chat. Not everyone will have a mic, EA. You don't even have text chat. The fuck? The best you could get are emotes, which could mean anything. I think it is directly competing with Anthem. I used to laugh when the publishers of Cliffy B's masterpiece, Air Fighters Z, blamed PUBG for its failure. But then Fortnite killed PUBG. Now Apex Legends is slowly but surely getting to the top. For the past 30 days, Fortnite is above Apex. But you gotta consider that for the past 3 days as of February 18, 2019, Philippine time, like 3 AM, Apex is on the top, and if the trend continues, Apex is just gonna rush past Fortnite. Of course, there's always a chance to turn it around.
Watch for the emote, watch for the emote, watch for the emote. You can show me the way. There's the emote, there it is!
Apex is getting all the hits. While Twitch numbers might not necessarily convert to sales, I do believe that it is an indicator of interest, and Anthem is dying. When the VIP demo hit on Friday, January 25th, the peak number of viewers was at 328,923, but it experienced a very sharp dip on the last day, Sunday, January 27, with 65,716 viewers on peak. That's for the VIP demo. When the public demo dropped on Friday, February 1st, the peak viewers was 84,178, and it also experienced a very large dip at the last day, 22,675 on Sunday, February 3rd. It reached a high peak, admittedly, on early access, 145,975 viewers. If the trend will continue, it will drop lower than before. Or it could also do well. It could have a miracle. It could have a lot of views and a lot of sales. I'm not saying views equals sales, okay? But there is a relation. Maybe views went down from the VIP demo to the basic demo because people realized it was a bad game. Very bad. Like I said, indicator of interest. And what's coming out next month? Devil May Cry 5, Sekiro. While they're not in the same genre, you already got Apex and Fortnite competing for attention. It's gonna be very difficult for Anthem to succeed, especially when you got EA wanting to sell 6 million units. Wilson told EA's investors that the demo resulted in people ... realizing it is a game that's unlike any other game they've ever played. I will do a full review at some point. If you want a professional opinion, check out your favorite games journalism website. Or not. Just stick to a semi-professional like myself. Follow the example of my fine patrons, like Nerzul I, Tad586, Chet McMasterson, brother of Chad, Peter B, Rhea Rules, and Mr. Radiance, as well as these other wonderful warriors. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.